I'm Kennedy Walker, and I'll walk you through the disturbing details of what investigators uncovered, how Olivia's final hours unfolded, and who's calling her killer a truly evil individual. For this story, we go to Somerset, England, where a relationship that lasted less than 3 months ended in tragedy.
She loved the forest more than she loved cities. While other women posted photos of makeup and vacations, Olivia Wood shared pictures of trees, moss, rivers, and wildflowers. Her shoes were often muddy, her fingernails sometimes held tiny traces of soil. But her eyes, they sparkled like someone who had discovered a secret the world had forgotten. She was only 29, but she lived like someone much older, gentle, wise, and watchful. In Northwich, where she grew up, people remembered her as the girl who helped. Hedgehogs crossed the road. A woman who rescued animals. A woman who once paused her entire day to help an injured bird fly again. She studied the environment. She worked with nature groups. She cared for the earth, but also for people. She gave easily, trusted deeply. Her mother said she gave her purpose. Her sister called her sunshine wrapped in skin. She was loved. She was careful. She was soft but strong. So when she left home that summer, no one was worried. She had fallen in love. She was visiting a boyfriend in Somerset. Just a trip, she said, just time away. But quietly, beneath her smile, something had started to shift. Weeks passed, photos stopped, texts grew shorter. Her voice on the phone, once light and full, sounded tired. Then, one day, silence. On the morning of July 30th, 2024, police and paramedics rushed to a flat in Frome. A woman had been found unconscious, hurt badly. A suitcase was found near the door. Her name was Olivia. She was taken to the hospital. She didn't wake up again. What happened to Olivia Wood, and who was the man who called 999 that night? Olivia believed she had found someone special. He was called Kieron, a man from Frome, not far from her home. He smiled at her. He listened, and he seemed to care. Their relationship grew fast. Within 3 months, Olivia was sharing her world with him. But behind his kindness was something darker, hidden in messages, photographs, and the quiet moments he controlled her. He made her take pills and sniff drugs she didn't want. It happened more than once. He forced her to do things. On camera, she never would have chosen. At night, when no one else was near, she obeyed because he said he would hurt himself if she didn't. He took money from her, more than £6,000. He said it was for bills, but he used it on drugs. It was a quiet storm. He blocked her. Friends made her avoid work. He became red in her family's memory, no longer the man who smiled. He was a shadow pushing her down. Olivia grew tired. Her light dimmed. She wrote notes to herself. "I am deeply unhappy," she typed. She even stopped posting pictures of trees. But still, she stayed. Then she packed her suitcase. She filled it with a few clothes and toiletries. With hope, with her quiet promise to leave. But in the dark hours of July 30th, everything changed. Olivia slept in Frome that night, likely unaware of how close hope had come. The apartment was quiet except for distant traffic. The clock neared 2:50 a.m. When the police later searched, they found her suitcase by the door, clothes neatly folded inside, along with her toothbrush and a small bag of toiletries. She had brought it with intention. She planned to leave. Inside, she had written that she was unhappy, that she needed to go back home. That summer appeared warm, but her heart was cold. She wanted freedom. When she tried to leave, he stopped her. He is said to have strangled her. The next sound broke the night. He phoned 999. He said she was not breathing. Paramedics arrived minutes later. Police soon followed, called by the ambulance crew. They saw the suitcase. They saw Olivia motionless. They saw Kieron standing there. They saw her. Paramedics rushed her to hospital. At 3 a.m., another car left that flat. It carried Olivia's body. Later, doctors learned she had a near-fatal amount of cocaine in her blood, and her neck showed clear marks, signs of strangling. She died later that day in the hospital with her family by her side. Her hope, full suitcase, and gentle heart were lost.
Nick, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks very much for having me.
So let's get right to it. The judge called Goodwin a truly evil individual. What's the significance of the judge using such strong language in sentencing?
Well, I think the problem is that it's an all too familiar tale, isn't it? In this country, of women being killed after short relationships, short but intense relationships of domestic violence. And I think the courts and the judges sitting in the courts having to pass sentence in these kind of cases are rightly.
The flat in Frome was still warm with the scent of sleep, curtains drawn, lights dim, but by the time the ambulance doors closed, the silence had changed. Olivia's body had been taken out, gently, quietly, and all that remained behind were shadows and a packed suitcase by the door. That suitcase was the first clue, not just clothes, but escape folded inside, her toothbrush, a change of shoes, a hair tie wrapped around a note she had scribbled days earlier. She wasn't just visiting. She was leaving. That much was clear. Detectives from Avon and Somerset Police moved through the flat slowly, as if the walls themselves were still holding their breath. On a coffee table, they found a phone buzzing with unread messages. In the kitchen sink, 2 used glasses. And in the bedroom, drag marks on the carpet, a pillow on the floor, and silence that didn't feel natural. The first 999 call had been strange, not rushed, not panicked. Kieron had said she wasn't breathing, but there was no sound of CPR, no fear in his voice. And later, it would come out that before calling emergency services, he'd rung a friend from a swinger website, as Olivia lay dying on the floor. Autopsy reports would say her neck was fractured, her blood flooded with cocaine, more than any willing person would take. There were injuries no 29-year-old woman should have to carry. And behind all of it, the digital trail told the rest of the story. WhatsApp messages recovered from her phone painted a clear picture. Kieron had been watching her movements, isolating her from friends, forcing her into submission. And when her voice grew quiet, when her light dimmed, when she began to say, "No," that's when he broke her. Forensics recovered deleted videos and photos from his phone. Dark recordings, exploitation, coercion. Olivia, a woman who once planted trees and saved birds, now trapped in someone else's version of love. They traced bank transfers. Over 6,000 euros drained from her to him. They looked at her Google searches. How to leave safely, emotional abuse signs, how to escape quietly. The day she packed that bag, Olivia had chosen herself, but Kieron didn't let her leave.
And unfortunately, in cases like this one, fatal consequences.
What laws apply when someone is coerced into performing sex acts and to take drugs? Because that's what the former partners said that the suspect did several times.
Well, if somebody is coerced into any form of sexual act without their consent, then that would, if it involved intercourse, would be an allegation of rape. If it didn't involve intercourse, would earlier on, I think, a newish offence called controlling or coercive behaviour, which was introduced in this country in 2021, and that can include instance of violence, it can sexual crimes, within the family home, and it can include often financial control, being that it is a crime to treat your partner in a way that prevents them from being able to go about their ordinary life free from control.
Could it also have been considered sex trafficking based on what's been described, or not really?
The courtroom was full, yet the silence felt heavier than sound. At the front sat Olivia's family, eyes fixed forward, their grief held quietly. For weeks they had waited for this moment. to hear the truth spoken out loud, not through headlines, not through whispers, but in a court of law where facts mattered and justice had a chance to breathe. Kieron Goodwin sat still in the dock. He denied the murder. But as the trial unfolded, the evidence came forward like a slow-moving wave, steady and unstoppable. The jury listened to days of testimony. They saw messages sent to Olivia, messages filled with threats and control. They heard how she had been isolated, emotionally manipulated, and physically exploited. They read the texts where he told her he would kill himself if she ever left him. They saw the bank records showing the thousands of pounds she had given him, money he used to buy drugs. They also heard from 3 other women. Each one spoke of the same pattern. At first, attention, then pressure, then fear. He had done to them what he had done to Olivia. But Olivia had not survived. The autopsy confirmed that her neck had been fractured. She had been given a dangerous dose of cocaine. The court heard how he had filmed and photographed her without consent, even while she was under the influence. One of the videos was taken just hours before she died. The suitcase became a key piece of evidence, packed carefully, placed near the door. It told the jury that Olivia had planned to leave and that he had known. After 5 weeks of trial, the verdict came. Guilty, guilty of murder, guilty of rape, guilty of intentional strangulation, guilty of multiple counts of coercive and controlling behavior. On May 8, 2025, the judge sentenced Kieron Goodwin to life in prison, with a minimum of 35 years before he could even be considered for release. In his words, Judge Martin Picton described him as a thoroughly evil man, a deviant misogynist, and a selfish narcissist. He said Olivia had died because she tried to escape and because Goodwin refused to lose control. Her mother sat quietly in court. She later said, "It feels like part of me has been bitten out. I can't breathe the same." Her sister Kira said Olivia had always seen the good in people and that her willingness to love had been used against her.
Nick, thank you so much for coming on today.
Thanks very much for having me.
So let's get right to it. The judge called Goodwin a truly evil individual. What's the significance of the judge using such strong language in sentencing?
Well, I think the problem is that it's an all too familiar tale, isn't it? In this country, of women being killed after short relationships, short but intense relations, of domestic violence. And I think the courts and the judges sitting in the courts having to pass sentence in these kind of cases are rightly, thinking about the public appropriate.
Olivia's story did not end in a courtroom. It opened a quiet but urgent conversation about coercive control, a hidden form of violence that builds slowly and traps its victims without leaving a bruise. In England and Wales, since 2015, coercive control has been a crime. It embraces any repeated pattern of emotional, psychological, sexual, or financial abuse that damages a person's sense of self. When someone tries to influence every small choice, what their partner wears, who they meet, or when they go out, that isn't love. It's a slow erasure of freedom. In Olivia's case, this pattern was clear to those who looked closely. Threats disguised as love, drugs used to break will, money taken in the name of care, cameras used for shame, a suitcase used to hide. Her plan to leave Across courts, survivors described the same pattern: constant monitoring, forced isolation, threats hidden behind affection. One judge called it a pattern of behavior intended to trap victims in fear. Another expert said intimidation can include forced drug use, financial control, threats of self-harm, all woven into daily life. Today, coercive control is recognized as equally dangerous as physical violence. In 2025, the law was strengthened. Anyone sentenced for this crime will be more strictly managed after release, and professionals from multiple agencies will work together to prevent more harm. Yet challenges remain. Many survivors still struggle to be heard. Friends, families, police, all can fail to see the silent signs, the hidden cameras, the voice that trembles, the messages that demand obedience. Olivia's suitcase sat by the apartment door, packed with hope, not shame. It was her warning to the world: love alone is not enough. Freedom is a right. Olivia's life was not defined by how it ended. It was defined by the way she lived, with quiet strength, with a deep love for nature, and with a heart that trusted deeply. She believed in healing the world, not fearing it. She believed people could change, that kindness mattered, that love, even when imperfect, was worth giving. That belief was her gift, and it was her vulnerability. It made her easy to love, and it made her easy to hurt. But Olivia did not die without leaving a mark. Her story has become more than tragedy. It has become warning. It has become guidance. It has become protection for others who might not yet know the name of what they're going through. If Olivia's story moved you, don't just watch. Stay with us. Subscribe to this channel for more real stories that need to be heard, stories that give voice to the silenced. Because the more we listen, the more lives we just might save.